Hello, thank you everybody. Welcome to this panel about collective design. My name is Jeroen and I'm the PR and Communication Manager here at Kunstinstituut Melly. And I've been leading together with colleagues and Sophia the new visual identity that we did together with Werkplaats Typografie from 2020 until now. It went together with our name change. And we wanted to give this talk some more context by also inviting another student collective from Jakarta who are joining us online. So, hello, good to see you again. We spoke yesterday very briefly, or 2 days ago. And we're waiting for the Werkplaats Typografie students, but oh, there they are. Yeah, I had a bathroom break as well. Hello, hi.
Hi.
Guys, this is Wooseok Jang, who also designed our effective graphic design visual identity. Nina Schouten sitting next to me, who is part of our exhibition design upstairs. And across is Yan Zhihan, who did our invite, which most of you maybe have received by now. So let's start. And I want to start with Studio 402 from Jakarta. So hi over there. Please introduce yourself, who you are and what your role was in the student collective.
First of all, good morning.
Morning. It's 5 p.m. over here. It's okay, 10 p.m. in Jakarta, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good evening. Maybe we can start a presentation to introduce ourselves.
First, before you start the presentation, please introduce yourself so we are all acquainted with who you are and what you did.
Maybe
let's start on that side.
We are Studio 402 from Jakarta. Personally, we are still student from Universitas Negeri Jakarta, or you can say State University of Jakarta. We have Rashid.
Hello, I'm Rashid.
And I am Anna.
I am Kintan.
And I'm Angga.
We are here to talk about our works with Documenta 15. And maybe that's all from us.
Yeah, thank you. So to give everybody an idea of what the visual identity looks like of Documenta 15 and what you worked on, Studio 402 will now give a short presentation.
Can you give me access to share screen?
Udah ini berarti gue skip ya ini.
Aku juga kira udah.
Berarti gue skip, gue tinggal bantu bahasa Indonesia.
Okay.
Mulai dari situ.
Okay. Back again. Hello, we are Studio 402. Again, the introduction is the same as before. I will skip this part. Okay.
So this is our college, and we came from the same major visual art education. We are gathered by one of our professor, Miss Jeon. Her name is Miss Jeon, and form a team to compete on this corporate design tender.
Maybe this a brief preview of the events that our major hold. We have lots of art event as you can see here, and maybe you can check on our university account. Okay, we will move to the next part. The Documenta 15 visual identity journey start from how Documenta 15 hold the corporate design tender to students both in Kassel and Jakarta. We are one from 50 group that came from Jakarta, and luckily we passed.
Fortunately,
We passed
We
to
won.
the final and we won. Yeah.
and we got the opportunity to get contract with Documenta.
And to continue.
So this is lumbung. It is the Indonesia's traditional rice board, departed from ruang rupa's main concept. We try to develop the general idea of lumbung, or maybe should we say extracting the essence of lumbung system. So we try to get the idea of lumbung by first we have to know the general idea of lumbung, which is it is the communal work as main principle. It is to harvest the rice together, to share harvest surplus, and to distribute lumbung surplus when brought. Well, the point is that lumbung system has the idea of solidarity in a community, and so therefore the first key visual is rope. As an architecture, lumbung can be sustained if the user not only takes the surplus, but to also continuously refills the lumbung with the resources. So we combine the hands and the infinity rope to develop the identity together. Okay, and so how do we combine these two elements? The rope functions as knot and connector between subjects to create interlocally bonds. The rope can also be visualized as an element of an endless line that forms shapes of hands with the diversity of cultures.
So in open conclusion, we have hands, we have rope, and then to combine all of it, a pair of hands connect to each other continuously as lumbung works. Hand by hand is a communal work, and rope used to connect the hands and is giving the image of continuity. And then the infinity rope is a visualization of endless process, how the lumbung keep on going. How the lumbung keep on going generation to generation, even to this day on some part of Indonesia we still have lumbung and it still operate, and rope as the long distance connection between Jakarta and Kassel, also everywhere in the world. This is some preview of the design that we submit in the corporate design tender held by Documenta 15. We also have a video that we submit. Maybe I can also share the video with you all.
Please do share the video with us if it's possible. Are you already sharing the video? Because we're not seeing them. You're still sharing the slideshow.
I will share the. Have I shared the animasi.mp4?
Yes, now we see you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will play the video now. Okay, wait, let me stop the in conclusion, the animation is about the road trip of we going to Kassel for Documenta 15. We introduce all the design aspect in that video that can be applied from our design. Maybe I will continue the presentation. Okay, sorry, we're a bit nervous here. Studio
That's
for
okay. That's okay. Take your time.
We work with Stan Hema after winning the corporate design tender. We are then to develop the manuals and the visual identity with and exploring with Stan Hema from Berlin. Yeah.
About teamwork.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We describe the teamwork we have done so far as fun, professional, and progressive. And we have spent a lot of time learning both from Stan Hema and Documenta side, which make us very progressive professionally in conceptual and design, and it was a lot of fun to work with new people, especially someone who's not from our country. Yeah.
As we all have experienced the pandemic, it was new for us and also new for Stan Hema to work internationally without physical meeting. It was a fun experience from our side and from their side too, I think. And then we work a lot online, develop it online. They were really a great mentor, giving us a lot of information. They educate us on things that we don't know. As you have known earlier, we came from visual art education and not from design and communication major. So it's really new for us. From this, we continue to have lots of things being developed, like we have colors from the beginning and then we develop it. We have the hands, how the variation of hands can work with us. And we also choose to use handwriting in some of the visual aspect that will stand out. And this is the developed design in color variation, the flyer, and this is the one that we talk about, handwriting, typeface, and color. Furthermore, we are then to have the guideline developed together with Stan Hema. We have the color, we have the new typeface, and how we can implement the logos. These are really great experience from Stan Hema and Documenta 15. And for us, this give a lot of benefits.
Such as
Because again, we are very new to this and we are very happy to learn a lot from them.
we are quite thrilled that we can work professionally with such professional teams like Hema and Documenta 15, of course.
So this is the one of the first visualization of the design in public space. This is at Ruru House building. As you can see, we implement the hands to the building with mural and stickers around the building. This photo taken by Nicholas. And then this also on the Documenta's office, as you can see in some of the publication before. Above all, we also help with the development of merchandise, with apa ya?
Jenis kecil lain kayak misalnya fotografi.
Yeah, social media content, maybe we can say that, and also we also help some of the visuals that could come very I don't know, maybe small visuals such as stickers, merchandises, and photo profiles, things like that. Yeah.
Kita juga bantu aset-aset untuk website.
We also help for websites assets and some things like that.
Yeah, and I think that's the end of our presentation and introduction.
Thank you so much. I mean, first of all, congratulations on winning from those 50. Second, congratulations on developing such a wonderful visual identity for Documenta 15. I think it looks amazing, and the first thing that came up in my mind was that the line that you made with the hands and the continuous changing. I immediately had to think of the font that you designed for Kunstinstituut Melly, and also the thought behind it, that it's still in flux, that it can change, that it can adapt to a certain situation. So I think that link is quite nice. You gave a very thorough introduction. So, but one question that came up was, and I think it's also a question for the students that are live here from Werkplaats, is how, as a collective, do you make sure that there is a design that you all stand behind, that it's a coherent design that you made with each other without anybody feeling left out in his own ideas or creativity? How did you do that as Studio 402?
To answer that question, maybe in Indonesia, it's a common practice to us work hand by hand together. We call it gotong royong. We know that we have lacks in various areas, and then we are filling each other gaps and holes. That's why we can work together with that idea in mind. Maybe that can answer your question.
Karena kita juga berada dalam satu rumpun kan, jadi kita udah sering ngobrol dan
yeah, it's also because we came from the same campus, same major. We are meeting each other very often. We know each other very well.
Okay, thank you. Then the same question I wanted to ask the students here. So Wooseok, Yan, Nina, let us know. We worked together for 1.5 years. Prem was part of the process. Of course, Amma, who is the director of Werkplaats, and Anikis, who is somewhere here in the audience. we worked together for 1.5 years, and we talked a lot. We were still changing our name, but in the end, the objective was to have a new visual identity for our new name, Kunstinstituut Melly. So how did that work? How did you make sure that it's a coherent design that you can all stand behind?
Well, hey.
Hello, Nina.
I think in the beginning, you can't do that yet. And I think because we came to be part of the name changing process when you were already 2 years in it, we joined. And that's actually quite rare as a design team to be part of the name. I think that almost never happens. So of course that was already quite special. And I think maybe the same way you had been involved in the name changing process, just a lot of discussions and listening, and everybody has their own interests, of course, bringing that to the table, and then but at first you're not gonna, like we're not gonna be able to decide on one direction, and I think it stayed like that for a really long time. Right.
Also, does it work?
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, but also like because we're also involved, like being involved in the beginning of all the kind of discussions, and we're constantly having this kind of like big meetings with everyone, and I think it kind of also encouraged us as a group that at the first month that we're really just like everyone was really researching on whatever they're interested in, and that they think it's like, I mean, we think that it's maybe related to the thing. So we didn't really rush to have narrow it down to one direction or one conclusion, because it often happens that in, I don't know, in a commercial world, it's more like, okay, we're just gonna chop and we're gonna focus on this, and everyone compromise, we'll just go here because it's, I don't know, it's just like the, but we really took time to listen to everyone. Also, when we're making the presentation, we didn't really use like slides, but we have this big canvas and everyone, just throw their ideas in, and we give, space for everyone's interest. So I think, I think
instead of sliding, we try to always have this zooming in and out.
Yeah, it's
a
like
way
really
of approaching things.
Yeah, like non-linear way of presenting, but also working with each other. It's not like either this or that.
Yeah, I can still remember that presentation, and you zoomed in the end into, and it has resemblance with the conference name, Effective Graphic Design. It was about effective typography. And I think that was a key moment in the development of the visual identity, when you, as a group, presented the effective typography, and it already had some resemblance with the font that we use now. How did that end up in that presentation? What was it that made you say, this is something that we need to present to the institution?
I mean, maybe it's also answer for the first question, that because I can see a huge difference between us and 422, because we are not from same region, and back then when we are involved in this team, we kind of also curious among us each other, that what kind of things Jan's interested in, what kind of things Nina's interested in. So it's kind of also like bring this presentation is not, okay, make one strong idea and convince them. It's not like that. So let's bring it everything there, what we are all interested, or what our like individual ambitions, or what, so it goes really slow. So, and then it's like exploring also the name changing and the process is something like that. So the typefaces was not there actually. In the beginning.
I think also good to say that we were a team of 6. So Callum is sitting over there, and Callum Dean and Emily Turner and Alex Tenesefti, who are not here at the moment. So 6 people is a lot. I think I'm wondering now, because we were quite inspired by the artwork on the side, the Melly Shum hates her job.
The billboard from Ken
Yeah, I wonder,
is,
did we get inspired before the name Melly?
Yeah.
Because it's Melly, yeah, right?
Yeah, that's
Before,
true.
I think.
That's true.
Yeah.
Because to give some context for also Jakarta and the people listening here in the room and online, our name Kunstinstituut Melly comes from Melly Shum hates her job, which is a billboard on the facade, the side facade of our building. And we are a presentation institution, so we don't have a collection in our basement. We present contemporary art, and then after the exhibition closes, all the art goes with the artist. But there's one artwork that's been part of the institution from the beginning, and that's the billboard from Ken Lom. Ken Lom did his exhibition in the last months of our first year in 1990. And we had the billboard in the street, in the city, everywhere. And the exhibition was over, it closed, the billboard went away. But 2 weeks later, we had phone calls, and back then even letters, no email yet, but from people saying this billboard needs to go back. It's so nice to have it. It's part of the building, but also part of the street and part of where we're living. So we asked Ken Lom for an agreement, and since then it's back. So when we renamed to a person that's already there, part of the history of the institution. And it's sort of meme almost with very harsh fonts that is moving almost next to it. So to give some context to what we are talking about. But yes, that is an inspiration for you guys.
Yeah, because we also loved it. And I think what we really loved about it was this spikiness, this, you can almost feel this hate.
She really
Right?
hates her job.
Well, especially the word hates.
Yeah.
But she's laughing next to it. I mean, she's looking in
No,
the camera and
looks
she's like
very
happy.
Passive. She's like
She's pretending.
awkwardly smiling, but like she literally hates her job, I guess. No, but we were really inspired by because I remember at the very beginning we were talking about like how simple but like very kind of emotional the typeface is, and also at some point that Emily brought it into this kind of Kiki Booba thing, which is like.
Right.
I don't know, it's like,
Yeah,
like,
could
it's
you
like,
explain? Yeah.
This is shape, and then another shape is like this.
So a
and then,
cloud, which is like
blobs.
blobs is booba, and then for
And
example
spiky
spikes
one
are
are
kiki.
kiki.
Yeah, and that's
and it's like it kind of embedded this kind of emotion within those simple shapes. I think that's kind of been throughout our research that we found that this is really kind of interesting points.
And I think also the cloud, because there was not really an identity except before this new identity, except the cloud. So also this cloud having different moods, having different applications was something that we started thinking about. Kiki, Booba, but maybe not just Kiki and Booba, but maybe something in between that can also shift from Kiki to Booba, or be a bit shy, or be a bit. So, yeah.
And the first few months being part of all the meetings about the name change, and we still didn't have a name, and we had a whole process set up, and there was also uncertainty at that time still. What was the name? Did that affect like that process of being in between stages and being like evolving from one to another, and maybe not sure about where it's going, and then going back to maybe a softer emotion? Did that influence what you were just talking about?
I think it influenced the way we thought Kunstinstituut Melly wants to present itself. It's not just one institute with one truth or one idea about things, but it really wants to look at things from different sides. So it also has different moods and different characters, and it speaks to different people. So that's why I think, that's what influenced it.
Yeah, but also I think, sorry, that the kind of the process and trying to be very inclusive of different voices. And I think at some point that our team was thinking that, you know, we kind of don't really want a fixed logo. Like we don't want a logo that just gonna be there, because at some point I think we had a conversation of, you know, every exhibition is not a stop, it's not finished. It's like a ongoing learning thing as an institution and the audiences altogether. So I think we kind of got pretty inspired by that it's not really a finished thing. And then, so, you know, what can we do instead of put like a fixed logo on the corner? What can we actually do to kind of have something that is continue kind of going on, that we actually can add different shapes to the typeface without people noticing it. But also, like, you know, in different situations that we can use different shapes, kiki or like spiky shapes or more blobby shapes to have different emotions embedded in how the visuals. So I think we did quite pretty influenced by the whole program and the meetings at the beginning.
Yeah, thinking about the process and the question, Studio 402 in Jakarta, I have another question, and that's because we were just talking about the process, and I mean, I've been embedded in this whole design process, but I've only met you 2 days ago, and I'm thinking of the fact, how did Documenta 15 together with you develop the whole design? How many did you have meetings with them? What was how did they ask you? Did they have an idea of what they wanted, or how it should look, or what it should express?
So to answer that question, back again, like from the presentation we show that the lumbung image, it was the original idea, came from the curatorial of Documenta 15. From that, they gave us some brief about how lumbung works, what is lumbung, because the participant is not only Indonesian, but also Germany student from Kassel. And okay, we then developed the hands, the rope as the main visual identity from our proposal, and then after that we then continue to develop it with Stanhema. Also with the curatorial team from Documenta 15, which is Ruang Rupa, they have a lot of discussion with us. It takes maybe berapa bulan ya kita kerja di 6 ya kayak yes. In total after our submission and the apa ya, the what pengumuman announcement, after the announcement of our winning, we start working and we finish in 6 months. We took that long to develop it together.
So you had the idea, presented that you won the 1 out of 50, and then you talked with the curatorial department mostly, and then with Stanhema to develop it further into a full visual identity.
I'm sorry, can you repeat it again? There is a motorcycle crossing by. It's too loud.
No, I was just reiterating your answer in how you developed the visual identity and how the process went of being chosen 1 out of 50, and then talking with the curatorial department and working together with Stanhema to develop it into a full visual identity. So I understand. Thank you. Does anybody have a question for either Studio 402 or Werkplaats, or both, from the audience?
Hello. Thank you very much for your presentations. It's really, I feel very lucky to be there with you, but yeah, throughout screen. You said something that collaboration was like, I didn't understand the term, but that there was a term maybe in Jakarta about collaboration, and that it was something quite important. And can you tell us a bit more about this dimension of collaboration, and maybe concretely how you work together with several people doing that? Yeah, I'm curious to know a bit more about that.
So again, maybe this can help me myself. I do graffiti works and design. Kintan do design, Angga do video and photography, and Roshid here works as our art director. Yeah. He is the head, our head, and he also do the design. We both the four of us know each other very well. We know our limitation and things that we can't handle. Therefore, we work together hand by hand. In Indonesia, we call it gotong royong. It's a common thing in Asian people, I think, when people help each other out in things and works. So it also sounds like Ohana means family. Family means nobody left behind. So that's how we work. We work hand by hand. We work together. We are more than team. Maybe we are family. That's why we got each other back, and we understand how to complete each other works.
Thank you for that answer. Thinking about our still, I mean, it's 1.5 years ago that we started working together over here, and I'm interested in, now that it's finished and the logo is on the outside and the website is launched and everybody that's here has booked a ticket through the website that Callum and Wooseok designed, and we have the exhibitions upstairs with the wall text and the object labels, and the invite is out and everything is there. The name is there and the visual identity is there. What was the most challenging part of the whole endeavor for you as the designers?
It's 6 of us. I think it's a big group to work with, I think. But also maybe it's also mirroring the name changing process, that try to hear everyone's voices. So I think when we kind of like expand the research at the very beginning, very open, but come to the certain point, then we have to, decide and select. And I think then we I found it's pretty challenging to kind of, because you kind of need to sacrifice some parts. It's very interesting, but then kind of need to like select between things. So we kind of had to struggle a bit to come down to a direction that everyone is satisfied with. But also I think that's why we chose to have this typeface, because we also collectively worked on the shapes, and everyone kind of just like, oh yeah, I want the A to look like this a little bit, and then someone worked on these letters. So yeah, at the end we kind of find a solution to put everyone's voices in.
But I think what also was challenging was that, of course, we came in and you were already doing 2 years of research, and the urgency and the importance of the name change is something that we became also part of. And I think at one point you have to make a visual identity, and you're not gonna be able to put 2 years of of findings and into it. So that was challenging, I think. At one point you have to go with a direction that you think fits. Yeah.
Yeah. And now that everything is done and we're planning on publishing a new publication in March of next year, Tools for Collective Learning, that also embodies this whole collective design process. Are there any remarks or tips or things that maybe we should think of if we or somebody else does a similar process? What should we change about how we did the process? Or is there something that really was missed out on as an opportunity to collaborate better or come to a more coherent design or collective design? Is there anything that you...
Do you want to discuss that here? No.
I mean, of course, that's why we're here.
No. Yeah, so what I said before, I think it maybe not so much that should have changed, but something to think about looking back at it now, because now we have a little bit more distance. To be part of the name change and the direction that the institute is going into, and there was a lot of time that went into that, and I think maybe looking back, we didn't have so much time, or maybe it was out of balance to really refine the things and to focus on the
details.
Yeah, the practicalities of it was a bit rushed, and and of course COVID was there, so it was opening, not opening.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Oh shit. No, what I want to say is that maybe also that we're kind of very much involved in the process of the name changing, and maybe, I don't know, like maybe the informations we get is also not really filtered, but I mean, of course, that this is kind of the like nobody done this before, so of course that this is like the first time that would like a design team being kind of involved in this like kind of big meetings. But also I think it's not really confused, but it's more like, okay, you know, what is the information that we really need to take that would be really helpful for the design, or we could just, you know, go very like being expanded on.
I think it was confusing sometimes.
Yeah,
for us as well. I mean,
yeah,
totally.
Probably that's also a good thing.
But I have to think of the quote that Prem showed of Karl Martin saying that people that depend on each other are do their best work. Was that the quote? Something like that, right? It said that, and I think that we depended on each other. You depended on us in informing you in the best way possible of what that new visual identity should like. Show, and we depended on you in making that new visual identity come to life.
Yeah, and I think maybe also some of the things that there was a lot of information being shared with us, which was amazing, and then some things maybe didn't really get through into design. But for example, the clock on the outside is because it was a school building, so some things that we came to learn of the history of Kunstinstituut Melly also were implemented, or
also I kind of think that maybe it was kind of a very big expectations on like an identity, but then we actually think that it's actually very important to actually how to use it. So it's not really just like, okay, we have the identity or the typeface done, and that's like done, but it's actually about how to use it well, and that becomes the image of the institution. So it's actually things, I think we didn't really have that much time to for that part about applications, or like, you know, in terms of the how can we, you know, really address it into different aspects in the real life. I think that part was a bit rushed, Yeah, but we didn't really have an open discussion about, you know, maybe it was a bit imbalanced, and we just got a schedule, like produce these in the next 2 weeks. But I think it's actually a bit too rushed. But also, I mean, still, like, it's continuing going, and it takes time to really have the foundation.
Yeah, I mean, we launched the name on the 27th of January of this year. It's our birthday, and that was the launch of the new visual identity. But this conference is organized to actually make sure that that visual identity is now sort of completed. So we have the website, we have the exhibition design, we have the 2 seasons of invites. And I'm happy to say that we will keep on working with you as the designers for other iterations of that visual identity for the coming years. So thank you for that, for sure. And are there any questions from the audience before we wrap up? I see, of course, our director has a question.
I always have questions. I was with Lynn down there, and I said I would be like this every day, asking questions, because I think all these things are so interesting. But one of the things that I'm hearing here is true, that we spent a lot of time in the discussion, and then when it came to the technicalities, we had given less time to that. But I think that it's important to see the difference between Studio 002 and us, 004 and us. There's a significant difference, which is that on the one hand, the collective was selected, right, in one of the tender processes, which is, you know, a number of people are called, you apply, boop, that they applied, they were selected, and then they were paired with a studio in Germany that was on site, and that the distance between Jakarta and here with COVID was impossible. And we discussed many different formats and premise here, because basically I first approached Prem before the Werkplaats to say, let's do the work-learn program. That the outcome would be the identity. And here's Jesse Koyman, who was also part of the entire process and who has been leading the work-learn program for quite some time. And in this case, I said, let's rotate, considering that this will be with more communication. The output will be about communication. Let's bring on Jeroen to this process. But I think that we didn't define the roles. I mean, to say the truth, and Prem can say in his own words his position, but I think that we didn't define the roles specifically between the work of Werkplaats, the work of workshops, our work as a so-called client, but also they're all day working and learning and together in the forums. You know, I mean, this was we were all students at the same time more than clients, no? And at the same time, all of you that you enrolled and that you chose to be part of this program, right? It was not that you were appointed, but that you were enrolled. And I think that it was an experimental process for us. But now, listening to Studio 004, I think that if we were to turn back time, you know, I would have selected you all, you know, great tender, and then maybe gone in another semester to one studio, probably here in the Netherlands, or sure workshops, whichever that you would work with to output. I think that there's also a significant difference between what I understand from the Jakarta student collective versus us, is that you've had more experience already in the field as graphic designers. And so, you know, you didn't want to even be called students, no? I mean, let's remember this, no? Like, so I think that that's something interesting to position there, that there's a relationship of, you know, that is set in terms of a trajectory that we co-developed and we co-create together. So that is one of the distinctions that I think I see there. So in my, so I will ask, no, so that's what I will say. So I will ask now the question, and maybe I will pass it to you so that you also, or maybe I will ask the question to you. Is like, what do you think upon reflection from these two different conversations, Prem? Because you were involved, and if you don't want to say anything, don't worry, because I can throw them back. But I do think that it's interesting, and maybe Anik is also here. maybe you can also, Anique, coordinate the entire program from Werkplaats. Maybe we can also hear from you if you want, no? I mean, I've learned a lot from this discussion, but
go into depth of the last remark you made about is a microphone, or can you?
Yes, please. Otherwise, they can't hear us.
The last remark
Yeah.
you made when we are doing the debrief, Sophia, of the turning back time, because for where the school is concerned, we are grateful for this opportunity. It hasn't been easy at all, but the things we learned and that we shared together were very valuable, are still very valuable, I think, for every individual who's here of the team, I mean. And indeed, in hindsight, identifying roles might have made it easier because of the time pressure of the last phase of the process. As Nina mentioned, it was some elements were quite squeezed in compared to the research phases that we had. So it has been very interesting for a program like ours. That is an individually based program. However, you were forced to collaborate. And I really find the Indonesian suggestion amazing. You know, that indeed you have each other's backs and you assist with each other, and that's what you did as well. But sometimes the individuality was part of the process. I'm not sure if I'm answering if I'm answering the question, but this was reflecting on the process as such.
Yeah.
And one of, I think, the most valuable lessons was that in doing research and finding things out, that's actually the most exciting part of the process.
It is.
And then coming to true graphic design, recognizable as graphic design, is very difficult, but necessary, being a graphic designer.
Do you want to elaborate on that, Prem, or do you think this is? That's true. That's true. That's true. Then I want to ask Studio 402. Do you have any questions for us before we wrap up?
Maybe because we are juniors here, we like to ask questions on working as a collective. Maybe you can give us some insight or ideas for us to continue work as a collective to sustain the work culture, the teamwork. Can you maybe share us some tips about that?
Maybe you can share your way of sustainability.
Okay, interesting. How yeah, how are we still working together is the question, I guess.
Are you planning to keep working together? Because we're not really, but it was nice.
Oh my God.
I mean, us, I guess. Yeah. Or, I mean, it's not really.
I think if you have fun, that's really, really nice. It's really important that if you have fun, that's the sustainability. That you love each other.
Don't get wrong. I mean, we are friends still.
Yeah, we're friends.
We're still
Thank God.
friends.
Thank God.
Maybe I wanted to say we're not the collective that always works together. It was just specifically for this. Yeah, we're not. Yeah.
So maybe Prem, I'm gonna give the microphone to you to answer the question of Studio 402, because you have a studio. You presented during your keynote that you worked with over 20 people in your former studio. What's your in 2 minutes? How do you keep everything afloat and together?
Well, I mean, I really appreciate hearing the perspective from Studio 402. I mean, thank you. I did not write down the term that you mentioned, but working hand in hand. And what I took away from watching your presentation and hearing you is that you already are used to, I'm projecting this, but I'm imagining that you're almost sitting at a computer together, passing files back and forth or helping each other. Is that kind of true sometimes? and that you also are friends and are hanging out a lot, and outside of like you're working together in school, but you're also hanging out. Is that true?
Yeah, that's true. It may be a funny point that we can point out. The name of our studio is actually a place where we work. Is cost 4,000 rupiah for 2 motorcycles that we use. Yeah, so we are studio
4,002?
402.
We are also used to work 24/7. We also night owls, maybe night owls.
24.
Well, as is shown by the fact that it's late night and you've all bore with the delays that I caused to be here. But what I'm saying is, I think what I'm seeing and how you're talking about the way you work is already so exciting and to me very inspiring. I mean, part of it is that without being too stereotypical or simplistic about it, I mean, I know that when I studied graphic design and art, nobody taught us how to work with each other. In fact, the whole point was to develop your individual artistic voice and to figure out what you're going to do that is different from everyone else. And I actually think there's a value to that. I mean, I think there is something to that individual, ongoing, daily practice, which allows you to center yourself and find whatever it is about your own existence that is, let's say, unique, special, different, that is a flower. On the other hand, I often find that in the programs that I've been involved in, at least that I studied in, that there's not the sense, as you say, of working hand in hand, hand by hand, the sense of this camaraderie and the idea that you're working together. So I think you all are already doing it. I think that actually you're doing, so I wish that if this hadn't been during COVID, I mean, we started this project with the Werkplaats in September with the student group, the postgraduate student group in September of 2020. And I'll just say for myself, I made one trip to the Netherlands. I met the 6 people who were part of the team once here in this place. And then on the last day of my trip to the Netherlands, I came in contact with somebody who tested positive for COVID. And I was lucky not to have it, but I went back to Berlin and quarantined for 2 weeks. And I never again saw this group of humans physically. We only met on Zoom. We never got to have a beer together again. I'm looking forward to tonight.
We'll do tonight.
Exactly.
Yes.
But it's just to say, I'm really inspired by your model too. And I think it's very exciting. So
yeah,
I think we have to learn from you.
Yes. Thank you, Studio 402, again for joining us. Congratulations on the visual identity of Documenta, and I hope we will hear more from you soon. But let's stay in contact. Thank you for joining. And I want to thank Callum, Wooseok, Nina, Alexander, Emily, and Jan for the design of Kunstinstituut Melly. Yes, please, an applause. Arnique and Armand and Prem for guiding it, the team of Kunstinstituut Melly for organizing this conference, and we hope to see everybody of you in the last panel of the conference that starts in approximately 20 minutes. So see you hopefully soon again. Thank you, Jakarta. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Makasih.
Terima kasih.
Terima kasih.
Terima kasih.